Hello, everybody. Good morning. It's 10 a.m. on the West Coast. And the voice man is here, exhausted and tired because he hasn't slept since like 4, 5 p.m. the day before. I don't remember. My sleep schedule is all manner of screwed up. I've been up all night, and so my voice is screwed up too. So that's fun. But I couldn't go to sleep because it's too bright in my apartment. And I was watching a video from Adam Savage, and I was like, getting inspired. So I thought, all right, let's do this. I'm also going to test my audio real quick, so hold on. There might be a little bit of looping. I don't know. I don't hear anything on that end, though. So that's not good. Hey, are you doing anything? What you doing? Come on, Twitch. You're going to be doing your thing, right? 0 viewers. Refresh. Hello? Hello? Am I muted? I don't know. I can't tell. I'm not hearing anything on the phone. I'm not seeing anything happen either. What is going on? What are you doing? How come you're not... What is happening? Let me not use the Twitch thing. Twitch. Let me go to the... It's the voice man. Twitch. Are we in a different account? No, don't do that. We're not going to do that. We're not going to the Twitch. We're going to stay on the web browser. Keep using the web. Search. It's the voice man. Live. It's showing I'm live. I don't know why the app wasn't doing anything. What are you doing? Is intended for certain audiences. Of course. Okay. So we are in fact working. Good. Okie dokie. Cool beans. Good deal. Okie dokie. So I have no plan on how to properly do this. I'm mostly just kind of winging it on how I'm going to try to learn this. So one of the things that I've been doing for the past year-ish, roughly, is I've been listening to... Oh, why can't I remember his name? Well, here, you can listen, and he'll tell you, and then we'll be able to remember his name together.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jackson Crawford.
Dr. Jackson Crawford. So I've got this video on my on my computer. He's got a YouTube channel, and I've been listening / watching this video over and over and over and over again because I'm trying to get a lot of the fundamentals that he is providing into my head, because I had thoughts based on some of my earlier experiences, like, oh, this isn't super far away from English when it comes to at least pronunciation overall. And there are a lot of similarities. There are a lot of overlaps. But those similarities cease to exist rather soon after. And it becomes a lot more difficult. So I've done this to myself. Because it's one of the oldest... It's like the oldest Scandinavian language that exists, because it's the closest thing to Norse. And I have to try to remember how to say stuff. So I think what I'm gonna do right now is I'm just gonna kind of listen to this story. I've got to find the right spot for it though, and so we're on page 8 of the book here. So let's hit this and see if this is
Blaðsíða
right.
8. Þetta sverð var ekkert venjulegt. Það barðist sjálft
Okay, we're in the right
og hann
spot.
þurfti ekkert að gera nema að halda hjöltin. Hann treysti því að sverðið inni á þessum þursi. Svo leit hann norður til Jötunheima og stansaði við Gemisgarða, þar sem skessan Angurboða og Gemir bjuggu. Þar var myndarlega byggt og allt í einu sá hann að ung kona gekk heimað stærsta húsinu. Hann greip andan á lofti. Þessi kona var svo falleg að annað eins hafði hann aldrei séð. Hann gat ekki slitið augun af henni. Þegar hún kom að útidyrunum, lyfti hún höndunum til að opna. Birtan flæddi af örmum hennar og lófum, skýin gufuðu upp og allt varð skínandi tært og fagurt. Svo gekk hún inn í húsið, lokaði á eftir sér og aftur dimmdi. Freyr steig niður úr hásætinu og reikaði heim til sín. Hann lokaði að sér og neitaði að tala við nokkurn mann, vildi hvorki borða né drekka og gat ekki sofið þó að hann væri örþreyttur. Hann var á valdi einhverja töfra sem hann réð ekki við og grunaði að honum væri að hefnast fyrir að setjast í hliðskjálf í óleyfi. Njörður faðir hans frétti af þessu og leysti ekki á blikuna. Hann hafði samband við Skírni, þjón Freys, og bað hann að tala við soninn og reyna að fá botn í málið. Skírnir fór til Freys og spurði hvað gengi að honum. Freyr stundi þungan en sagði honum svo hverskins var.
All right. So I don't know what the next step is in this case. Because again, my brain is fried. At least I know that I can more or less follow it along. Now, when I say follow along, I can follow along the words for the most part, but I don't know what is being said. I cannot translate this in my brain. And so I'm still very early on in my understanding of how these things work. Like, I can still get an idea of what is actually being said because, like, I'm starting to understand, like, eki here. When she said so, it's like the V is almost not pronounced. It's not that it isn't pronounced. It's almost like it's not pronounced. It's like, what's a good way of putting it in English? Because we do it all the time. But again, my brain is so fried right now. I am having such a hard time thinking. But we blur. Okay, so we tend to blur words and letters together at times, and we'll even come up with whole ass new words. We create portmanteaus all the time because there's just, combined words together. But like, did ya? The word did ya, as in did you? Did ya? You could be like, did you eat? And this is a kind of a famous one, at least in the South, because you can turn the words did you eat into one syllable. And if you have the right context, you'll know exactly, either A, you've just been around it enough, or B, if you just have the right, like, visual context within, your space, you'll know exactly what somebody means when they say Jeet. It went from DIDYOUEAT to JEET. Derek Jader. So yeah, that's a thing that happens. And so We do that. Icelanders will do that too, whether they're trying to or not. Because, like, the average person, something that I've learned in my time attempting to learn to be a voice actor at one point and, more or less giving up on that. And then, the potential for doing audiobooks, which also not going to do because holy crap, is that a lot of reading. Like, you don't want to just start reading, narrating a book. You want to have read the book multiple times, and you'll want to have a good understanding of the voices and the like. And then you record it, and that's going to take a while. And even if you could pull off like a 4-hour book, that's still going to take you at least probably 8 hours of reading, because you're going to have to do all the editing and everything too. Retakes and all kinds of stuff. So that's more effort than I'm willing to put into stuff. I mean, even right now, just sitting here looking at this image, just talking is effort. But I'm doing it because I felt like it was a good idea at the moment. And I'm going to continue doing it. Maybe 30 minutes, an hour, depends on how much I can handle. Because even my water is not very hydrating right now. And when water's not hydrating, good God. So yeah, it's like, to get back to the point, I guess, something that I started paying attention to when I would watch like video games especially, or animated shows, or was listening to any audiobooks, people narrate relatively closely, or they just read out loud as characters, etc., relatively closely to that of their normal speaking voice. And they often will pull back on enunciations. I remember watching like the introduction to StarCraft 2, Legacy of the Void. And I remember hearing Zeratul and Celindis and Artanis and like kind of dissecting their speech. And while the Protoss in that scenario do have a more, for the lack of better phrasing, hoity-toity way of speaking. Like if you go back into the days of Shakespeare, you have like caste systems, and the people who speak in prose, the everyday speak, are the people who are just like on the streets. Peasants, or like the nurse, for instance, she's essentially considered a peasant. Some of Romeo's friends, I think Mercutio especially, he spoke in prose. And while everybody followed the rule of iambic pentameter, which is 10 syllables per sentence, the words that they used were different. And the general structure of how the iambic, and I don't remember exactly how to break this down because it's been a while since my Shakespeare class and all kinds of stuff, but like, that's one of the things about Shakespearean works that a lot of people really appreciate, is the fact that through language, people spoke differently. The proletariat, as it were, spoke more like we do, with very flowy, even though the words, again, the sentences and the structure still followed iambic pentameter, the linguistics had a more common flow. And then, once you start going up in the ranks of the society, you go in like the royalty, for instance. Royalty had a more strict way of speaking. And then you had, like in Romeo and Juliet, for instance, you had Friar Lawrence, who I ended up playing. And the way that he speaks is very difficult when you have never spoken Shakespeare, really, and you don't really understand what's being said. And that was my first fucking role. And it was so hard. But then I picked up on it and I got it and I understood what he was saying. And then when I got on stage, I was able to deliver the idea behind those words. And one of the best compliments I ever received, I got two really, really good compliments after our first run when we were doing Shakespeare, the Romeo and Juliet. And one of it was from a friend of mine, and I never knew, but she's like a big old Shakespeare fan. She fucking loved it. And she's like, you were so clear in the way that you not what was it? I can't even remember. She's like, I've heard so many Shakespeare plays, and you've done such a great job getting the point across. Something along those lines. I don't remember what it was. It's been a while, and I'm trying not to blow smoke up my ass right now. But based on the fact that, like, she was just a big old fan of Shakespeare, and she really enjoyed my performance, spoke to me in ways that I had never, like, that was a compliment that I didn't know how to handle, because one, I'm not a big compliment guy, but two, I was like, I almost wanted to be like, fuck yeah, because I had worked so hard at it. And, you know, I wasn't what they call off book until literally the first night. And off book means you've memorized all of it. Some of these motherfuckers, they were off book within a week. And like our Romeo was off book within like a week or two. And I'm like, how the hell do you do that? And it really comes down to like understanding the character and, you know, spending all the time and all that shit too. I was trying to understand the whole ass play. Some people were just trying to understand their characters. So, you know, it just depends on the person, I guess. It's like story time instead of fucking Iceland time. But it feels relevant. And then the other one that I got, the other compliment that I got was somebody who was like, hey, I've never really liked Shakespeare, but I understood what you were saying. He's like, I never really liked or understood Shakespeare, but I understand what you were saying. And I was like, really? He's like, yeah, man. I thought that was a fantastic compliment. So to, I guess to bring it back around is that as long as you understand what they're saying, that's all that matters. And what I have found fascinating about Icelandic is that fortunately there doesn't seem to be like the syntax and the grammar are relatively similar to English. Your thoughts just come out and they are just what they are. There's no gendered language that I'm aware of, like unlike the romantic languages, which often have gendered, like why does a table have a gender? Whatever. And, you know, I'm sure once you get accustomed to it or whatever, it doesn't matter, but it's like that throws me for a loop. This one doesn't seem to have that. And I know there's like a better way of describing Icelandic when it comes to this. I've heard it before, but it's very pragmatic in its approach to speaking. And so like you'll see a lot of words that look long, but they're just compound words. Jotunheima, right here, Jotunheima. It's just Jotunheim. It's just two words. Now you have Angerboda, Angerboda. Let me listen. Let's see what she says.
Þetta sverð var ekkert venjulegt. Það barðist sjálft og hann þurfti ekkert að gera nema að halda hjöltin. Hann treysti því að sverðið inni á þessum þursi. Svo leit hann norður til Jötunheima og stansaði við Gemisgarða, þar sem skessan Angurboða og Gemir bjuggu.
Angurboða.
Þar var
Angurboða. Angur. Interesting. She said Aunger, but there's no... Hang on a minute.
Svo leit hann norður til Jötunheima og stansaði við Gemisgarða, þar sem skessan Angurboða og Gemir bjuggu. Þar var myndarlega byggt og allt í...
So, the reason I'm calling that out is because an A with the little diacritic there, that's the ow sound. Now, it could be... Maybe she's not actually saying the ow. Maybe she's really just kind of putting that emphasis on the Angurboða. Angurboða? Let me see.
Svo leit hann norður til Jötunheima og stansaði við Gemisgarða, þar sem skessan Angurboða og Gemir bjuggu.
I mean, Angur. It does kind of have an ow sound to it. But again, you know, one of the things that I've also realized when it comes to just generally language and recordings, or what else am I thinking of? Even history, like historical documents and stuff, you can't presume to think that they're 100% correct. I remember listening to a podcast about chaos magic and how the guy who had apparently created chaos magic had all these ideas and stuff and about the world around him. And the hosts, who I do respect, were kind of like, they were essentially taking what he said at face value and not criticizing the fact that he could be biased in his own writing. He's not a historian, but it felt like they were kind of approaching it in that way. And I feel like that's part of one of the reasons why we will often fall into certain cognitive traps when we see, like just what I said, when we are our instead of when we are, because that's a thing that happens with humans. We make mistakes, and sometimes those mistakes happen. Like, I'll be listening to Ethan Shabowski when he's doing a cooking video, and then I'll hear him mispronounce something. And I'm like, me being the person that I am, would have heard that. Or if I had heard it like in the upload, I would have taken the upload down and redone it. Because I'm just that bad at it. Although you get to a point and you're just like, screw it, I don't care. I'm too far gone. It's rendered. I have no intention of going back into the editing, etc. You know, so it's just like, it's whatever. In essence, it doesn't matter. And that's the thing. It's like she's recording. She may not have heard it. Maybe it was intentional. I don't know. It could be for emphasis, etc. It's like recently I learned about French not having emphasis. You know how we have emphasis on certain words. So like a perfect example is, I think it's called Up in the Air. I remember, the reason I remember to this day is because I was working at a video book music store. And I was working in, I'm pretty sure at this point, I was working in the video section, and we had a trailer for the movie. And in it, somebody said, "Ass is the window," or something like that. And then somebody responded with love. "You're putting the wrong emphasis on the wrong syllable." Now, most people don't even say syllable like that. Even if they put the right emphasis on the right syllable, they're not pronouncing those syllables right either. But we put emphasis on specific syllables in a word. Apparently, French doesn't do that. Now, they do put intonation and tone and emphasis into the speaking, but the words don't have the hard and fast rules. Like, okay, invalid versus invalid. Same exact words, spelled exactly the same, but one syllable has, each syllable, in the same word has different emphasis, and so the word is pronounced differently, and thus it is a different word in that sense. Apparently, French doesn't do that, so all of their words have the same emphasis across all of the syllables, and I had never known that. And I was trying to take French at one point. Rather, I was trying to self teach through Babbel, but then I lost my job at the time. And looking back on it, I was like, damn, I wish I had known that sooner. That would have been really helpful info. Because it's very it's fascinating, but at least for me, it makes sense. And at the moment, I'm still having a hard time discerning the general emphasis that Icelandic, because I mean, it does have it. Because even when I just said the word Iceland, like if I was to say Icelandic, that doesn't sound right. If I say Icelandic, it still doesn't sound right. Icelandic sounds right. Now, what I do understand, and through the video from Professor
Hi, I'm
Dr. Jackson Crawford, one of the things that he had mentioned that, like, I think one of his Iceland friends said was that you want to kind of shout the beginning of the word. So, in essence, let's listen. Let's see if that's the case. If there's more emphasis on the beginning of the word. So let's re-listen to this page from the beginning.
Blaðsíða 8. Þetta sverð var ekkert venjulegt. Það barðist sjálft og hann þurfti ekkert að gera nema að halda hjöltin. Hann treysti því að sverðið inni á þessum þursi. Svo leit hann norður til Jötunheima og stansaði við Gemisgarða, þar sem skessan Angurboða og Gemir bjuggu.
Okay.
Þar var myndarlega.
I'm not going to listen to the whole thing. I get it. I hear it. Automatically, I hear it now. Now that I'm looking for it. And that may very well be the reason why her short A became sounded like a long A. It's because oftentimes we will make some, small mistakes like that when we're speaking. And sometimes through emphasis, the pronunciation can change. And it could be a mistake. It could just be a creative choice. Who knows? But I'm hearing, because like if you'll notice, she's very breathy. The words tend to be breathed out at the end of the word. So let's listen.
Byggt og allt í einu sá hann að ung kona gekk heim að stærsta húsinu. Hann greip andan á lofti. Þessi kona var svo falleg að annað eins hafði hann aldrei séð. Hann gat ekki
Now also, one could interpret this as like it's a bedtime story. And it's my understanding for one that this is like intended for, like, I think for younger audiences specifically. What I don't know is, and maybe I could look this up. Let's see what I can find, if I can find it. So I'll go over here real quick. And I just want to look to see origin. hundreds of free online graded readers and audiobooks. So this is where I got it from. It was on the Learn Icelandic Reddit. I made these comments in another sub, so they're free ebooks. Seems to offer, okay, somehow connected to Iceland's Ministry of Education seems to offer all the textbooks for all grades and various subjects, many of them as free ebooks online. I don't know Icelandic, so I can't really navigate it, but if you can get to the literature section, for instance, here's a free online collection of passages aimed at native speakers that seems to be teaching the alphabet. Ooh, that part I didn't seem to recognize. I'll have to go into that, see what I can find, which obviously I would think be for a younger audience. Okay, so this is just the book, but I don't. Is there? Okay, hold on a second. So what I can probably do then is, whoop. Let me see if I can. Here we go. Now the question is, no, that's for the book. What about for the audiobook? Because this is just, because what I'm seeing is just a visual. You're not seeing it on here at all, I'm sure. And I really don't want to have to go into settings and change it to where you see just parts of my... okay, we're going to download this. Full publication. Did it download is the question. No. So the reason I decided to download... Come on. Oh, what's taking so long to load it? It's weird. The actual website has no problem, but the PDF on the interweb seems to want to take forever. Well, there's a lot of pages, so let's see what happens if I just try to download it. Save it as. Once I get that prompt, come on, come on. Hey, internet, do stuff. Could just be because I'm going through Iceland to do it. Because my internet seems to be fine. Well, this is awkward. Oh, damn it. Yeah, I rubbed my eye and then it like got the eyelid weirdly. Like I think I got stuck under the other eyelid, and that's never fun. Here we go. Now we got the prompt. Okay, good. So, son of a bitch. I pressed the wrong button. Fuck. Alright, well, let's just do ABC's Iceland book. We'll name it later. And then I'll just put it on the desktop. Actually, I think there was one. I don't know where the other one is. And then it says 109 megabytes. So let's just see what happens when I try to open it. Oh, hold on, let me properly name it real quick, like rename. And then we open it in. So I'm going to switch out here in Adobe real quick, like. I wonder if you can see that through here. Evidently not. Good. I don't want you to see my stuff. Open. Alright. That's the book. So now, wait, I don't like it. I don't like that scroll. How do I change the scroll format? I just want to be continuous. Continuous scroll. Enable scrolling. There we go. Oh. What? Pair. What is again? Holy crap. I gotta look at my dictionary now. Hold on, let me see. Go to the O's. I skipped it. It's the N's. P. O-G. It does not mean original gangster. Oh, crap. I'm in the wrong O. There's two O's. One that's normal and one has a diacritic. OF. Etc. Well, no. Hold on. Ox from Vegis? That's etc. What the hell is all right. Let's go to Google Translate then. Find that out. See what we can figure out. Resources, Google Translate. OG. And. Okay, that makes sense. The biggest problem with having a physical dictionary, or any book really, is the inability to control F. But I'd still like having a physical book. Makes life generally easier. So let's go ahead and scroll through this here book. Yeah. So this is the E with the diacritic across it is yeg. So yeg, but it's not yeg. It's like I said in the previous video, and I will continue to say it from now because I got to make myself remember. In this word, the G is basically non-existent, but it's kind of existent. It's a glottal stop. It's like when somebody says Batman instead of Batman. Nobody says Batman. They say Batman. Yet, it's a glottal stop. Ow. Yik, ow. Interesting. What is just straight up... Hold on. Since I can highlight that, copy. Let's go to Google and just... On. Oh, it's preposition. Okay. What if I just copy this sentence and I see what this sentence says? I have a, but I have owl. Sagadi meaning said. Ausa. Let me see what happens if I copy all of this. Okay, I see what they're doing. Here. Okay. So the capital A is supposed to be the A. I have ow, said Ausa. I have ow too, said Calorie. Do I have ow? Asked Benny. No, you don't have ow. But you can see the letters. Let's look at the letter you have. Yes, I want to look at my letter, said Benny. Interesting. Okay, I see what we're saying here. Benny does not have ow, which I don't know the actual name for it. Again, I'm not sure. Oh, holy crap. Maybe I should get some coffee or some soda in me. I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take a quick little break here. I'm going to let you listen to Bjork talk about her... I think it's here. Let me see. Nope. Bjork talking about her TV. Be right back.
Hallå. It is Christmas time and I'm sitting here by my TV. I've been watching it very much lately because I'm on a holiday and I've been seeing all those programs about all sorts of things. About Icelandics being very happy about Christmas, very gay and also very serious and spiritual, and also seeing Icelandic comic people making jokes, which they are very good at. But now I'm curious. I've switched the TV off, and now I want to see how it operates, how it can put me into all those weird situations. So it's about time. See. This is what it looks like. Look at this. This looks like a city, like a little model of a city, and all the houses which are here, and streets. This is maybe an elevator to go up there. And here are all the wires. These wires.
I'm back, but I want to listen too.
They really take care of all the electrons when they come through here. They take care of that. They are powerful enough to get all the way through here. I read that in a Danish book this morning. And this beautiful television has put me, like I said before, in all sorts of situations. I remember being very scared to it because an Icelandic poet told me that not like in cinemas where the thing that throws the picture from it just sends lights on the screen. But this is different. This is millions and millions of little screens who send a light on you, some sort of electrical light, I'm not really sure. But because there's so many of them, and in fact you're watching very, very many frames when you're watching TV, your head is very busy all the time to calculate and put it all together into one picture. And then, because you're so busy doing that, you don't watch very carefully what the program that you're watching is really about. So you become hypnotized. So all that's on TV, it just goes directly into your brain, and you stop judging if it's right or not. So you just swallow and swallow. This is what an Icelandic poet told me once, and I became so scared to television that I always got headaches when I watched it. But then later on, when I got my Danish book on television, I stopped being afraid because I read the truth, and that's the scientific truth, which is much better. You shouldn't let poets lie to you.
I love that video. It gives me the ASMR tinglies. Also, I have a similar experience where, I spent at that one store, mind you, it was part of a 2-year period of my life where I spent religiously studying astrology, and then one little phrase from Carl Sagan talking about how the gravity of the obstetrician is greater than the strength of Mars, and like it just straight up told me, hey guys, I don't think astrology is valuable or even smart. So yeah, I don't know. It basically made me get over it really quickly. So yeah. So I went and got me some cold brew, and then I was like, hell, I can throw in some Coca-Cola. That'll be sweet. So I don't have to throw in any sugar in here. I gotta say, this is fucking weird. Like the head on here does not want to drop. It tastes weird. But whatever. It's an odd flavor combination. It's weird, as I said the word flavor, and I wasn't sure in my mind if that was a word. Is the word flavor a word, man? Calorie, fauni. So this is a long Y, but it's pronounced like a long, I think an E. Hold on, let's listen to Dr. Jackson Crawford. Yeah. So if I go into my video, he's got a whiteboard here, and the Y with the diacritic over it is going to be pronounced ski. And Y and Y and I like this are pronounced exactly the same. So it's going to be, let me make sure I'm right. Yes. So they are pronounced exactly the same. So ski, disa, but not stigi. This is stige. Stige? Hold on, let me make sure. Phil, stige. I get that's a weird way of saying it. Okay. Here, let's copy this, put it in our little Google Translate. Let's see what it says.
Sólin skín. Sóla, Steini og Dísa fara saman í sund. Sóla 7 ára. Steini 6 ára. Sóla og Steini mega ekki fara inn í sund. Dísa 16 ára. Hún passar Sólu og Steina í sundi. Það svo gaman í sundi þegar sólin skín.
All right. When the sun is shining, þegar sólin skín. Let me make sure that's actually, yep, okay, it is skín. Synda. Sola. Because like 2 L's is not a 2L pronunciation. It's an L. It's a TL pronunciation. Like Mr. Jackson Crawford here says. Let me see. Where are we at? Okay, so it's going to be right around here.
Vatn. This is water. Vatn. And Ætla. This is Ghana, basically in Icelandic. It's a future for persons. Double L is pronounced like a TL, so Atlor. This means all or every. Or of course the famous volcano that erupted 6-7 years ago, Eyjafjallajökull. It's just a 6-syllable word, just like paleontology. Eyjafjallajökull. Double.
There you go. Eyjafjallajökull. I can't do it. I have tried so many times. It's so hard. Eyjafjallajökull. Because like one of the things about this the language, like I said earlier, is like there's emphasis on the front. There's not really emphasis on the end. It's more breathed out, which honestly makes me wonder about the nature of the language itself, as if, bear with me here, Iceland's cold, sort of. The AMOC, oh God, what the hell? The Gulf Stream, and I want to pronounce this right, the Atlantic Meridional Overturning Circulation, aka the Gulf Stream, is one of the reasons why Iceland and England and a lot of Western Europe and much of Europe in general is not frozen wasteland because of the warm water. Now, of course, Iceland just happens to be right smack dab in the middle of the Atlantic Ridge, the Mid-Atlantic Ridge, and it's separating, and it's got all that volcanic activity, so that helps as well. But my understanding of the general Nordic persons was that they were largely Arctic faring. They were seafaring, and they spent most of their time in the Arctic regions. And my thinking is, regarding the nature of the language and the sort of explosiveness of it, and thus the sort of trailing off at the end of it, could be due to that. You don't want to spend a lot of time sucking air in when it's cold. You want to do most of your work expelling the air when speaking. That's my guess. And it's really fascinating when you actually start listening to other languages. Like, I've heard more and more New Zealanders, Australians, and South Africans speaking in like relatively close proximity, just based on the stuff that I've been watching on the internet. And there's a lot of similarities. And then there's like Tasmania as well, because it's part of Australia. But then like they have a variation that's a little different. And then you'll let's say you listen to Trevor Noah, who then has a fantastic grasp on so many different languages. Like his bit about a meeting between Nelson Mandela and Barack Obama, and how he's essentially he's portraying Nelson Mandela teaching Barack Obama, who he is also voicing, on how to speak with more presidential gravitas. It's a phenomenal linguistic comedic bit. It's fucking amazing. I mean, let's just fuck it. I want to go into that area. Let's see. Trevor Noah, Barack Obama, Nelson Mandela. Trevor Noah's theory about Obama's voice. I'm not going to play the whole thing because it's 12 minutes. But let's see if I can get...
Now, very important, to be a first black president, your pacing must be powerful.
Your pacing must be powerful.
Every word must seem like the last you will ever speak. To be first black president.
Oh yeah, now he's like, get that gravelly.
No, more husky. That's it, you are getting it now. That's it. I think you've got it. Now, repeat after me. America. America. No, the husk. Bring the husk back. America. 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 Yes, I can feel it. Say, this is my country. This is my country. Yes. This is my dream. This is my dream. Yes, I can feel it. You are going to be the first black president. I don't know. Do you think we can do it? Yes, we can. 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 You've got it right. Now go get them, my nigga.
Oh no, shit. So yeah, phenomenal. You're hearing the punchline basically, but like the whole build, like even if you've heard it and you don't know what the hell's going on, it's great if you go back and listen to it. But it is, and like, the reason I brought up Trevor Noah is because like he has such a phenomenal understanding of language. Like he picks up languages from other countries without any problem. Like he's a great imitator of language, whereas like Frank Caliendo is a great imitator of persons. Like somehow he's able to just nail all of the little, just the general intonations of like a crap. What's his fucking name? John Madden. He's able to pull off John Madden no problem. And then just so many other people that I think he's able to do George Bush and everything. And it's just like he knows how to tune into the general qualities of not only just the people that he's mimicking, but then like he knows how to twist them into his own. It's people who can imitate voices like that they just astound me. But whenever I would hear Trevor Noah, especially with like he'll do dialects from within South Africa and then like Johannesburg, and I can hear some, and then I listen to like Australians and some New Zealanders and some Tasmanians, and so pretty regularly on YouTube. And so when I start hearing them, I start to hear the overlap between those nations, despite the fact that they are literally separated by an entire ocean. Colonialism. That's how you do. I know this has not been me really learning Iceland this whole time because I'm exhausted. But yeah, did I say learning Iceland? I meant learning Icelandic. But again, that's and ekki, which I don't know what ekki means. He brings it up, I think, somewhere. Hold on, let me see if I can find in his. I think it's right about here.
Y in English, yes, so it's yao, the word for yes. Note that many Icelandic speakers, especially women, although men too, may pronounce the words for yes, yao, and no, nay, with an inhalation, right? We normally speak while we exhale. These words may be said with an inhalation. Yao, yao, nay, nay. The letters K, P, and T are more or less what you'd expect from their English equivalents. In fact, their pattern of aspiration is broadly similar to that of English, so you don't have to worry about these being unaspirated sounds like they are in French. KPT really are like English KPT. But notice that a double K, double P, double T is pronounced with an aspiration before the consonant. So it's as if you're taking a little breath before you say that consonant. So the word for not or don't or didn't, the typical negative, is ekki. Ekki.
Except he's doing an exhalation, not an inhalation.
Right, I'm making a little bit of a breath, or perhaps you could say like kind of an H before I make that K. Ekki. Or to drink. Drekka. Drekka. Hear that breath? The breath is not, it can be confused with that CH sound like German Bach. It's not ekki, it's ekki. It's way back here. Ekki. Just a breath.
All right. So yeah, that's don't, not, didn't, and. Okay. Ooh. What do we have here? Let's take it over to Google Translate, drop it in there, and then let's listen to it.
Ívar og Sísi eru úti á ís. Þau eru á skautum. Sí, hví og bíp, raular Sísi. Allt í einu sjá Sísi og Ívar stóran, hvítan ísbjörn. Ísbjörn, æpir Ívar. Drunur heyrast. Þyrla svífur yfir. Ísbjörnin verður hræddur og fer. Sísi og Ívari bjargað upp í bíl.
Okay. Something's throwing me off, and this is a little upsetting. Okay. I don't know if you could hear it, but I could hear what sounded like somebody speaking into their microphone, like getting that sound, the mic pops. I know that's an AI voice. The fact that they have an AI voice that sounds like it's got popping in there is fucking weird and annoying. Oh man, we're all fucked. Jesus Christ. The fact that they incorporated mic plosives, that's just weird. That is so upsetting. And so is my goddamn drink. Holy shit. It's so wrong. So yeah, that basically is, Ivar and Cece are out on thin ice. They're skating. C, we, and B, sing Cece. Suddenly, Cece and Ivar see a big white polar bear. Well, now you're dead. Polar bear, Ivar yells. A drone is heard. A helicopter hovers overhead. The polar bear gets scared and runs away. Cece and Ivar are rescued into a car. Bjargath. Oop. Well, and we go back to Dr. Jackson Crawford.
Relation, right? When these being unaspirated sounds like the relation, not like kind of an H before I make. It can be confused. Also applies B, up, B, or
B. Except there's no I at the end of up, so let's just see what UPP means. Well, up either way. So could just be in I don't know. Sometimes it's like how when we speak of when we're trying to teach English to people, we will use a word and it may not be the exact word, or we're using it we're teaching it in a way that is more right, if you will, than general linguistic use. We'll often do that because I mean the reason that you take, okay, I remember many times in my past either hearing it or probably even saying it, like, I can speak English. Why am I taking an English class? Well, it's the same reason that you go work out. It's a workout. So when you go work out, you do the things that you do in the workout so that you don't injure yourself. You get your form down. I screwed my back up recently by probably slipping a disc. Because while I feel like my form was fine, doesn't matter. And also I was using a system that just doesn't really seem to, because I was trying to do deadlifts, and the gym that I have in the gym in this building is not, it doesn't have free weights. And so like the machine, the weird hybrid plate machine thing doesn't seem like it's actually really appropriately set up to do something like a deadlift, and so that's just my fault. That's on me. But this book and his instruction, and like anybody else's instruction when it comes to a subject, you're in the gym and you're working out. And this is kind of a revelation that I had made in recent years that I haven't really been able to like fully flesh out in my mind until recently. And I wish I had known that sooner. I wish I had known that all the stuff that you're doing at school is a workout. You're exercising. It's just a different kind of exercise. And whether it be your actual gym class, or if it's your English class, or if it's your math class, or if it's your social studies class, etc. All of those classes are a form of working out. They are a form of exercise, which is why oftentimes you do assignments in class that are called exercises. But nobody really told me that. And I didn't really understand it. And I am 44 and a half years old. And it wasn't until recently that I really started to understand that about the way that you're learning things in life. You know, and that's why they're like, well, why don't they teach us this stuff? Or why don't they teach us this stuff? And it's like, the reason why is because they're not trying to teach you specifics. They're trying to teach you generals so that when you do the specifics, you don't, quote unquote, injure yourself. You know, you don't really need to learn how to do your taxes in school. It's not necessary. What you need to do is learn how to do fucking math. You need to learn how to add. You need to learn how to subtract. You need to learn how to multiply and divide and understand fractions and percentages. And the reason why you need to learn those things is because then you will use them when you are doing your taxes, because the taxes tell you how to do them. Like, it's literally on the paper. Doing your taxes is actually really easy. You know, look at this paper, look at that section on the W-2. And like, and the thing is like, once you start getting into the point where you're like, wow, I really wish they had taught us this in school, it means you're probably doing more taxes because of all the other associated stuff. And then just go hire like a CPA for, you know, maybe $100 and bring all your documents and everything, and you'll be done in half an hour. Because the average person doesn't need to learn how to do their taxes in school. Because again, because in school, that's not the idea. School is the exercise. It is it's the working out in the gym so that when you're doing everyday stuff, you're strong enough to do those you're strong enough to do those lifts. It's like, okay, let's take it back a little bit. And when I am done with this, I'll be done. When I'm done with my little tirade, I'll be done with this supposed lesson in the stream. The reason they don't teach you to do taxes in school, it would be like saying, okay, like, it's Christmas time, right? And you're out shopping at one of the little like pop-up forests, quote unquote, the ones that sell all the Christmas trees and stuff. It would be like saying, hey, how come we don't ever like pick Christmas trees and tie them to our car and then untie them and then put them in our house when we go to the gym? You're not going to do that every time. Now, you may be needing to lift your tree up at some point. You may be needing to learn how to tie knots at some point. You know, that's why like Boy Scouts was good for me, because I have a pretty good understanding of knots. I almost never use the same knots that I used to because it's been a long time. And honestly, I didn't really learn that much. But even then, I mean, I learned a lot. But at the same time, I was also very blasé about learning stuff in Boy Scouts. I just wanted to get the goddamn merit badges as quickly as possible. And for me, it's like taking the test. Taking the test has always been easy for me, especially if it's multiple choice. And so I can learn enough to pass the test, which is what I did in Boy Scouts. And that's why I ended up stopping at first class, and I just kind of stagnated there for 2 years, or however long it was. We teach kids math and learning how to actually do the math so that your brain understands when you see a math problem, you know, or like when you understand, when you see something, you can recognize that it is a math problem. Just like, you know, when the tree is on the ground and you got to lift it up, you know to lift with your fucking legs and not your back, unless you've got a strong enough back because you've been doing deadlifts or whatever. But like even then, you're going to understand more innately if you've been doing your squats and your deadlifts right, that you'll know how to get under it better because you've learned how to get under a heavy weight. And the same thing goes with your math, and the same thing goes with your English, and the same thing goes with your history classes and stuff, as long as they teach you about slavery for more than a page. And like, I think that's the way that I have to kind of approach this now. Now that I'm thinking about it, I got to look at the exercise of it and recognize the exercise of it all. And I didn't really realize that until this little video session. So with that, I think it's time for me not to go to bed, but to rest my voice and do something else. And I have nobody who has come and watched this, but nevertheless, if you are watching this, have fun.